Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Leo, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of October. October, really, I ask you. Right, you are. I'm using the Crow Tarot for you today. What do I have to tell you? Alright, there will be an extended at the end of this reading. If it resonates with you and you want to go a little bit deeper, that will be the first link in the description box. The second link is the 6-month overview that I did for each of the signs. It runs from July to December, and obviously we are somewhat through that period now, so I've knocked down the price accordingly. If you haven't had a chance to check it out and you're interested in that, now is probably a good time. Obviously, if you support me on Patreon, then you get access to all that extended content for no extra cost, so there's a thing. And lastly, Mercury retrograde, right? Happens 3 times a year. Nothing to be concerned about. The energy at this time when Mercury is in retrograde is quite reflective. It's about going over old things and making sure that you've done them correctly. You know, it's attention to detail, really, at this point. It's not really a good time to start something new, but it is a good time to complete something that you have already initiated. So, if you have contracts to sign, then often it's a good idea to kind of put it off until after the shadow period of the retrograde has ended, and that's like you have 2 weeks of actual retrograde and then 2 weeks of the shadow period either side, where that energy is either winding up or winding down. But if you have to, and there are times at which that is necessary, then just make sure that you double check and triple check what you are signing before you put your name to it rather. And if possible, get other pairs of eyes on it. Make sure that you're signing up for what you think you are. Just saves having to unravel messes later. What else? Travel disruptions are very common during this time. Technology has for some reason the capacity to just brick itself for no apparent reason, and watch your words, because meanings sometimes get a little bit lost. You'll find that people don't quite have the ability to be able to articulate exactly what they mean in a way that they usually would, and vice versa. You may feel the same, or it may be that somebody is articulating it properly, but for whatever reason you're not taking it in the way that you usually would. Right. So approach all of your your communications calmly and compassionately, and with this in mind. Just maybe sit on it before you flip your biscuits over something. Just make sure that you are actually flipping over the right biscuit. There are a few things that make this particular retrograde slightly different to the other two, and actually, if you follow me on Patreon, I'm going to put together a little 5-minute video just explaining why this one is different, so keep an eye out for that. It's interesting, like I haven't been affected really at all by the previous 2 retrogrades this year, but from the second the shadow period hit, like shit's just been coming up and going wrong and all sorts of things, and I was like, so I did a bit of investigating, and so I came up with some reasons why this one is different. It's going to be interesting for everyone, let's put it that way. Right, with all of that said and done, let's get you some cards, Leo. I'm attempting to be the fucking sun today because it absolutely is not out where I am. You can see it's absolute torrential rain out there. Anywho, can I have 3 cards for Leo, please? Oh, there's the first one. We have the 3 of Pentacles in your recent past. Current energy for Leo, please. We have the Hermit for your current energy. Yeah, feeling that. That's Virgo energy from the Major Arcana. And what's coming towards... Hello? Okay. Ooh, we have the 2 of Swords and we have the Knight of Pentacles. There are decisions to be made by you this month, Leo. And yeah, I can see a couple of different ways that is likely to go. We have the Knight of Cups at the bottom of the deck, and this is very important, I think. We've got the Strength and the Star, and the High Priestess sat behind it. Like, this month, like, intuition is high, your intuition is high, so pay attention to those nudges as they come in, and they may be, you know, to do with things that are right in front of you, but more likely they're things to do with stuff that is behind you, right? This is a month where you can expect to get a lot more insight into things. Now, I know that this is frustrating because there's been very little fucking movement for Leos for quite some time, but something has broken, something has shifted. Did feel that quite strongly in the last reading, but then we've come into this really powerful retrograde. So treat this as a period of consolidation, right? Making sure that you've got everything in the right place in your mind, because we've got Leo and Aquarius indicated there by these two cards, and they sit on an axis with each other anyway, right? They're direct opposites on the zodiac, so you know, you find what affects one may affect another. But strength is the ability to endure that which is difficult and still come out the other side soft. And look, you know, I've got you coming into the Knight of Cups. This is all about making sure that your heart is open. It could well be a month where you find yourself sitting and contemplating challenging situations from the past, which you have quite likely already worked with extensively, and finding a new level of compassion coming through, right? A new level of forgiveness, possibly for yourself, but quite likely for other people too. And those who have hurt you, you know. But it's all about the feelings for you this month, Leo. Strong, intuitive bumps in particular directions, you know. Let's get some clarifiers, and then we'll get into this. I've just cut the deck, and there's the Knight of Pentacles again. So, why is the Three of Pentacles here for Leo? We've got the High Priestess again, and the King of Pentacles. Tell me about the Hermit, please. We have the Fool. And the Three of Swords. That's interesting. Tell me about this. Two of Swords and Knight of Pentacles. We have the Four of Wands. We have the Ten of Swords. And we have the King of Cups. This is quite interesting. In readings that I've done for myself in the last week or so, this King of Pentacles, King of Cups combination has been coming up frequently. Also, Knight of Cups and Knight of Pentacles, but coming up very, very strongly together. Now we have the Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck here, but it is followed by the Ten of Cups. Now, the Seven of Swords is often a card that's associated with deceit of some sort, right? It's called the Thief card, and for good reason. You know, we can usually imply some level of nefarious intent when we see this card here, but we can also see it as the ways in which we deceive ourselves. And this is quite important because, you know, the subconscious can do all sorts of mental gymnastics, ostensibly to keep us safe. I mean, that's the point of it. But often that ends up being very limited. You know, it keeps our mind very limited. We don't want to push ourselves too far out of the box in any particular direction, because the possibility of failure is there. The possibility of pain is there, or hurt, you know. And so the subconscious tries to get us to sort of track along a very narrow path, because this path that is well trodden is well known by us, and that's where everything is safe, and that's okay. But this whole year has been pushing you out of your comfort zone. It's been designed to push you out of your comfort zone, and for a fire sign, that has revolved a lot around the lack of movement outside of ourselves, right? Now, the other way of looking at the Seven of Swords, because there is no card in the tarot that is all negative or all positive, right? There are shades of both contained within, is risk-taking. And if I'm honest, I feel shades of both of these meanings coming in here with this Ten of Cups. Because it rather feels to me like you nailed your colours to a particular result, right? To a master of a particular result, Leo. And where that did not come through, over the course of this year, there's been this real attachment to outcome. I will it, therefore it must be done. And if it's not done, what does this say about me, right? Am I wrong? Is my intuition off? Am I not nearly as powerful as I think I am? You know, I think this Leo has spiraled a couple of times this year, and you've done it quietly, and then you've come back up again. But it feels a lot like what it is that you've been hoping and wishing and praying for this year, right? It's like, if I just have this, then this will be the outcome, like 10 of Cups. Everybody will be fucking happy. It'll be all good, you know. And there's almost been a state of waiting for that one result to come through, right? That one that you've nailed your colours to, right? This is the thing. I'm just going to think about it really, really intently, and then it will come through. And here with the 7 of Swords, it does feel like you've rather deceived yourself about it, because you've been sat. That's the point, Leo. You've been sat. Now, at the beginning of the year, there we go, we've got the 3 of Wands there. Like, there was the odd little knockback, the odd little kind of tower moment that came in, and it's like, oh right, okay, well I need to do things slightly differently then. And that's what you've done. You know, you adjusted your plans, you changed your thing, but always with the same outcome in mind. And as every avenue that you thought was open to you just got closed down, and it's like, no, you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, there is no progression out of this for you, you have to sit here. That's where the spiraling's occurred. Because there's been nowhere for you to go. And so you felt stuck, you felt trapped, and almost the attachment to this outcome has become even stronger the further away it felt like it was getting from you, you know? And this fixation possibly seems to have blinded you to other things. Now, as far as the risk-taking goes, there was an element of risk in what it was that you were trying to bring towards yourself. You know, this wasn't you just maneuvering around inside your comfort zone. There was a pushing out of the comfort zone going on here. Anyway, you know, like, well, I'm prepared to take a risk. I'm prepared to do all of these things. You know, look at me being the fucking sun. Even though things aren't quite going my way, it's okay. Like, I'm going to do it. Shut down, 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 down. And now there's just you sat here with, you know, whatever the result is that you wanted. That slowly you're realizing, I feel, you've been kind of deceiving yourself a little bit on some sort of level. There's something slippery that's been very deliberately trying to be avoided within your subconscious. And I don't think it's nearly as profound as, or as earth-shattering as it may be. You know, there's been a sense of simple steps involving both compassion and forgiveness necessary for you. You know, we've spoken before, yeah, when you start doing your work, you know, you have all of these big revelations, and it's kind of like, oh my God, I didn't realise why I was like that, and now I understand, and this is great. You know, obviously, these patterns that I've been repeating my entire life, I see them now, and this is good, I'm not going to do them anymore. You know, big, huge things. But the work is never done, and as we circle back to it over and over again, it's those smaller revelations, those smaller details with things. And for you, I do think seeing things from other people's perspective has come into it slightly sideways. It's kind of scuttled in. But the deeper the work, the slower it is, and the less dramatic it is, I guess. It's almost like a law of diminishing returns. on it, except that it isn't quite true, because you're shaking off little parts of yourself that cling to ideas, cling to old narratives, cling to old ways of doing things. I mean, you've been kicked in the teeth pretty hard this year, Leo. You came into it with such enthusiasm for change and received none. Now, in your recent past, you've got the Three of Pentacles, and this is quite interesting. This is card of collaboration and teamwork. Right? It's working together with other people to achieve a result or to build. And, you know, it could be that you're in a partnership and it is you and your partner who have become fixated perhaps on this one outcome. But there seems to have been an underlining that you are not alone here. There's definitely somebody around you who is very capable, because I do feel like this King of Pentacles here is almost leading by example for you. The King of Pentacles is you, but it's sort of you as you observe somebody else and the way that they navigate whatever energy that, you know, this is at the moment, and taking from them what you can learn, right? So we'll just take those two kings there, which have been coming up for me frequently over the last week, maybe 2 weeks actually. And the message has been very, very strong. It has, get your fucking house in order and get yourself emotionally stable. Okay? Do these two things. You don't need to worry about anything else. Whatever you've been attached to, you don't need to worry about this. You need to focus on the here and now. Get your material world in order. And not just your material world, because I see the Pentacles as energetic currency. So, right, where are you investing in the wrong place, right? And that is your time, your care, your effort, your love, your money. Look at all of these things and make sure that you are putting your effort in the right place on the things that matter. Because you are a natural intuitive, Leo, right? I think Leos are a highly underrated, you know, cat-like senses about things. And I feel like that part of you is good, is okay, but it's Piscean energy, right? It drifts around a little bit. And almost in the being fixated on one particular outcome, what's happened is everything else has become a little bit amorphous. It's kind of lost its, not rigidity perhaps, but I mean, you might be feeling slightly surreal, you know, just walking around. Certainly not having quite as much energy as you would like to do things. But then we have this King of Pentacles, and I do feel like he's leading by example here. This is Taurian energy. But it doesn't have to be a Taurus, although, interestingly, Taurus is very, very closely associated with home and, you know, comforts and things like that. It's almost like you've got the spiritual side of things nailed, Leo. Like, that's not something that you have to work at too hard. But sometimes you drift a little bit, and sometimes you fall into it to such a degree that being here on this plane is quite difficult. Yeah. Now, we've got this person potentially around you who has been, by way of example, the way that they're sorting their life out, or maybe the way that they're approaching their job, or, you know, whatever it is, you can learn from them, and you have been learning from them. And the way that you are trying to stabilize yourself is by, you know, dint of their example. It feels like there's been very little left over for anything else, Leo, between the spiritual insights that you've been getting about yourself and the way that you work, the way that your subconscious works, and then what is left over, extreme focusing on an end result for something. You know, I'm also hearing here of learning to wear your responsibility a little more lightly than you have been doing. It feels a little bit like you've just been struggling to be around. You're struggling to function in a normal 3D way. And I think it's possibly the power of your subconscious, right? I must do this thing. I am so responsible for this thing. This is the outcome that I want. This is, I need to think harder about it. But it isn't necessarily the case. Now, when we come to the Hermit here, and this is Virgo energy, so more earth sign energy. It's about understanding that the answers for everything lie within you, right? And then choosing to go on that journey, right? Go and find those things. Go and find those answers that you need. And I think it's interesting that we've got that star sat there. Very, very close to the crow, actually. You know, it's not up in the sky, it's down here to the side of the tree, just there, possibly obscured by the trunk from the crow's vision. And it does indicate withdrawal. It does indicate a pulling away from you know, the 3D or whatever it is. And possibly being lost inside a little bit, you know. What I'm getting a really strong sense of, Leo, is that there's been this juggling going on, right? You've had quite a lot going on spiritually, emotionally, internally. You might have found you just got odd things just keep popping up into your head that you haven't thought of for 20 years. And you're just like, well, why is this here? Right? It's obviously still sitting in your head there somewhere. It's doing something. But it appears to have arrived unbidden and you're not quite sure why it's here. You know, it's like, okay, why am I thinking about this now? Like, there's something in your present that is triggering that off a little bit. And then, like, every little bit of energy that you've had outside of you has been pointed towards this, the need to get your house in order in some way or another, right? A sense of responsibility that's been really, really strong. But there isn't much left over for anything else. And what we've got underneath the Hermit is the Fool and the Three of Swords. Now, what I like very much about this is that the Fool is headed away from the Three of Swords. Right? This is not, if they'd come out the other way around, I'd be like, who? That looks painful. But the Fool is wandering away, right? This is all about liberating yourself from things that pain you, that hurt you, you know? And this fixation, I know I keep coming back to it, but this fixation on a result, on a very particular result, is coming from somewhere, right? And it seems to me that you're being asked to interrogate it so that you can leave it behind. Because it's affected you far, far more than, I don't want to say than it should have done, but than was necessary, I think. Tell me about this Three of Swords. The Strength card and the King of Swords. Leo and Aquarius axis again. The Ten of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Wheel of Fortune, Two of Wands, Six of Cups, yeah. We've got the Hangman at the bottom of the deck here. The opportunity for movement is coming. But there's healing that's got to be undertaken first. You're carrying too much around with you, Leo, and it's bizarre to say when you've done so much work, you've churned so much of this out already. You've got three kings on the table now. The only one that's missing is you. Isn't that interesting, Leo? We've got the King of Pentacles, the King of Swords, and the King of Cups. Huh. Ah, Leo. You're waiting. Wheel of Fortune down here. You are waiting for a change. You're waiting for something outside of you to shift. You're waiting for a tower, and the tower's not coming. This Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck here, Piscean energy again, but passive, immobile, literally nailed to a fucking tree right there. Like, you are waiting for something to happen, and it's not. And do you know why, Leo? Because it's you. You're waiting for you. It's almost like you've been so busy doing other things, focusing on your responsibilities, focusing on outcomes, trying to, put everything that you've got into bringing something into being because of the sense of responsibility that you feel for other people. And it's almost like you've lost yourself a little bit. It's like when you stand in a queue for ages, or even like you take a number for the queue, and you sit down and you stare at it for like an hour, and every time the buzzer goes, you're like, oh God, no, it's not me yet. And then when it's your turn, when they call your name or they call your number, you've drifted off somewhere in your head and you don't even hear them, It feels a bit to me like you need to sort of back into yourself and go, oh shit, it's my turn. It's my turn. I've been talking a lot about being the sun with you, Leo. And I wonder if you got a bit too wrapped up in the nature of being the sun for other people. Stay positive, keep working at this, I'll do it, it'll be fine, and you've lost yourself somewhere along the way. It's like, come back to you. You need to be able to experience your sunniness as much as everybody else. More, perhaps, in fact. One more card, guys. 5 of Wands. 9 of Pentacles. Yeah. You've been struggling so hard, Leo. That 5 of Wands is conflict and struggle and whatnot. Trying so hard to be independent and self-sufficient and stand on your own 2 feet and not ask anything of anybody else, not sit around feeling sorry for yourself. But what are you waiting for? Like, being the sun isn't just, being there for other people, being shiny and being happy for other people and helping them with all of their shit. Like, it's about you as well. Page of Swords there. It's a new type of thinking that needs to be employed here about what it is to be all of these things, what it is to be the sun, what it is to be about Leo. But it almost feels like you've got so used to waiting now, Leo. That you're forgetting to move again. Let's strengthen the Star card there. A return to hope. Return to action. Right, okay. So we've got the 2 of Swords and we've got the Knight of Pentacles here in your, what's coming towards you for October section, right? And the 2 of Swords is a decision that needs to be made here. But when I say the 2 of Swords, it's because the character depicted is always blindfolded. right? And they've always got their back turned towards the water and the moon and all the other things that are depicted in that card, right? It's often a case of your subconscious locking up, because there's nothing to choose between those two swords. They are identical, but for whatever reason you're not actually using your eyes on something. You're not consulting your emotions about these things. You know, where have you been feeling like you have been let down this year by your connection to source, the universe, you know, whatever it is? Like, I know that you've done a lot of you've sat in a pit of self-doubt for quite a long time, but you've been kind of pulling back out again and going, wait, no, just need to keep plodding on, it's all good, it's all good. But like, where is your faith now being tested? Where do you not dream to hope anymore? Because I feel like that's really strong here. And what I like about this in the Crow Tarot is that the crow doesn't have its back to the water, it is turning slightly, right? So what I meant before about these swords being identical is there's a reason why you're not consulting your emotions about something. There's a reason why you're not consulting your intuition. And that is because if you did, you'd know that this decision's already been made, right? But for whatever reason, you don't like the outcome of that. And so you're like, no, I need to choose between these two swords some more, because I may notice a difference very, very soon. And the reality is that isn't actually the case. And it feels like you're turning towards that understanding, Leo. So we've got this Knight of Pentacles. There is work to be done, for sure, but there's still work to be done on your self-esteem. There's still work to be done on your own self-worth, and every little tendril of this that pops up for you is showing you that. There needs to be no room for doubt in who you are, what you stand for, and the value that you bring. And yet still it persists. Like I said, I like the fact that this crow is turning towards the water, because it does seem that that is an insight that you are starting very slowly to acquire about this. But we've got this Four of Swords, Ten of Swords and King of Swords combination here. Four of Wands, beg your pardon. You know, that's the card of home there. It's the creation of a new foundation also. And this is the new foundation that you are being asked to create. Like, I know that this is fucking boring, Leo. I know that you've done so much work on this already, but for whatever reason, you have not done enough. There is still more that can be pulled out of you at this time. And it would be easy to be resentful about that, but you're destined for great things, and you need to trust that wholeheartedly. You need to trust everything. You need to trust your internal place so strongly that it will never leave you. You know, that there's never a fear that it will send you astray. And it has been, because if at any point this year you've doubted yourself, if at any point this year you thought, well, I don't fucking deserve this anyway, I'm obviously being punished for something, right? Then there is still work to be done. If you're suffering from imposter syndrome, I just heard some of you have got really bad imposter syndrome anywhere, then there's still work to be done. Like, I've said to you a number of times this year, Leo, that there's something big headed towards you, and you need to be able to embrace it with every cell of your being. And there needs to be nothing inside your head that could even remotely pass for self-sabotage. Ten of Swords. It's a difficult card, it's a challenging card, but it is a very welcome card too, because it does signify an end. You know, when you are buried deep in very deep work, and the way that the energies have played out this year, it hasn't been a kind of, you know, Taurian cracking the knuckles, going to sit down with a study book and study myself kind of energy for you. It's been experiential, because you're a fire sign and that's how you learn, right? So you're quite a way down the rabbit hole, Leo, is what I think I want to say. And you've been in this rabbit hole for so long that you've kind of forgotten that overground exists. Deeper and deeper and deeper into the work, you know? But this retrograde seems to be designed to pull the very last bit of whatever is holding you back mentally and emotionally out, right? Again, I'm going to pull you to the fact that this King of Cups and King of Pentacles here, coming out together, flanking the reading. You cannot have your feet in both worlds all of the time. I think sometimes you need to shift more easily between them, and I feel like the juggling that you've been doing, you're trying to keep your foot on your own internal work inside there, you'd be sort of spanning a chasm which is gradually pulling apart, you know, and it's like you need to commit to one side or the other. And I'm not saying you need to pick 3D over, you know, spiritual stuff, but you need to know when to pick your attention up and direct it in a particular way, because you do seem to have got lost in all of this somewhere. But it's coming to an end, and that's the important thing, right? And it ends with this absolute solid emotional position of you. You know, but then again, it's not all that wander are lost, and perhaps it is that you are not lost, but that you've just been wandering for quite some time now. You even forgot why you were wandering in the first place, you know. What do we have here? We've got the Ten of Pentacles, the Empress, and the Page of Swords with the Eight of Swords at the bottom of the deck. I mean, for some of you, actually concerning your work, I mean, whether emotional or actual work, you know, the way in which you earn your money, this month you might actually have conversations with people or some sort of event that occurs that shows you how other people see you. And it's entirely different from the way that you see yourself. It's very welcome. Very, very welcome. And I see it changing the way that you think. It's time to come back to the path now, Leo. It's time to come back to you. Like, you are the thing that you are waiting for. And I'm seeing lots of things all happening at once for you in October. Very little in the way of external movement, right? Any external movement that happens will be very slow. It will be kind of boring, to be honest. But the changes that are going on within you, see you kind of lighting up a little bit more. Not for other people, but for you. Now, sitting in the bask of your own glow somewhat. It feels like the last little piece. Yeah? To bring whatever is uncomfortable up to the surface. And wash it away. I hope all of this is making sense to you, Leo. I know it's kind of rambling and I know it's kind of going all over the place, but I kind of feel like that's your energy and that's what's going on at the moment. The good news is it feels like it's a return to form for you by the end of October. It feels like your energy is going in the right direction. It's going in the right place. And that there isn't this sense of being kind of pulled too far one way or the other. Like stability. The King of Cups was the wrong way around in the deck there. It seems like stability is the thing that you need to be striving for, right? Of your resources, of your energy, like wherever you are putting your attention. Focus on what's right in front of you and not what you are trying to bring in for yourself, because I do think you're sabotaging it on some sort of level now. I do really think that. Wherever possible, if you can pick yourself up from that and go, actually, do you know what? It doesn't really matter the way that my intent, you know, results ultimately. So what was I looking for underneath that? Because it's possible that you already have it, Leo, you just hadn't noticed. Look, I'm sorry for the rambling reading today. I'm going to go over to Vimeo now and see if we can't put a bit more structure into it. Because there are lots of themes here that are all coming up at once. Kind of waving around. Let's go see if we can't bring some structure into it. All right, Leo, it's all good. It's all good. You're not doing anything wrong. Everything is sound, right? Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.